London Bridge is falling down. A woman tries to say what a man will try to drown. And he's the rain that they predicted. It's the forecast every time. The rose has died because you picked it. I believe that brand is mine. And all over the world, strangers talk only about the weather.
Yes, we've had some weather. Seems to be mostly over right now. I hope it wasn't too hard on you. Hope you didn't lose power, all that stuff. But we are here to do Ask or Tell Me Anything. 888-720-WNPR. People have already called in. 888-720-9677. You can bring up anything you want. And people have and will and do. Can I just, before we begin, I just want to say, one odd thing about social media is you can just put something on social media as a joke, and people will know ideally, under ideal circumstances, people will get that as a joke. But they also might sort of, play it out a little bit for you. So I was just noticing that Wonka, which is, I guess, a prequel to Willy Wonka. Can I also say I've never seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? I've never seen any Wonka product at all. And one of these days we should do a show on just like how everybody has these kind of foundational movies that they've never seen. I mean, I've got like 10 movies that everybody's seen that I have still never seen. I hadn't seen Top Gun until quite recently. Anyway, I'm getting far afield here. There's a prequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's called Wonka, just Wonka, and it stars Timothée Chalamet. And it's Timothée Chalamet. I don't know. So I was suggesting that if they're going to do stuff like that, just take a character from children's entertainment and release it with the title like Wonka. Like, what's next? Fudd? Boop? Perhaps Poppins? Underpants? As in Captain Underpants. But anyway, people got really excited about the idea of a movie called Fudd. And they think it should be like an origin story kind of movie. You just like go into, Fudd's past. How did he become who he is? Live action, probably. Then, of course, at some point, if it's going to be about how he became who he is, at some point he's going to have to say, "Woes, bud. Oh, woes, bud. It was my sweat. I loved it." Anyway, now I want to spec the script somehow. I really do. There really might be something there. Anyway, coming to a theater near you in like 5 years. Fudd. Not to be confused with HUD. All right, we're going to go to the phones right now. You can call in. You can ask anything. You can say anything, tell anything. Well, within reason. Try to fit your head through the Overton window. 888-720-WNPR. And here we go with Michael from Avon. Michael, you are the first caller of the day.
Thank you, Colin. I don't know that AZ Fudd has really done enough to have a movie about her.
That would be interesting casting, though. Maybe that's who broke his heart. She beat him in a free throw contest. She didn't love him. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Brilliant. Let's get some people on it.
Yes, that's right. Let's go to the writer's room right now. Okay, continue.
I'm sure you saw, or at least familiar with, the most recent Atlantic issue, sort of listing all the potential atrocities of a second Trump term. So with that as a backdrop, I wanted to ask you, given the importance of commerce in this country and profit and business, do you believe that should there be a second Trump term, like to what degree do you believe that American business and profit and, getting money from customers would be sort of a protection against some of the anti-democratic realities that may come to pass?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question and an interesting perspective. I'm not sure that I'm 100% down with the premise of it. I mean, it seems to me that capitalist economies can function under any number of different kinds of government, and it could be argued that in certain societies they do better with a lot of stability and predictability as long as they, I mean, I always feel as though our capitalist overlords, they just want to know where the sun is coming up. If it's going to come up, if it's going to rise in the west instead of in the east, fine, just tell us. Now, one of the things they didn't like about Trump, and I think that became pretty clear over the course of those 4 years, was his level of unpredictability. Like from moment to moment, they didn't know what he was going to do. It wasn't so much that they objected, but because you had Tillerson and people like that, you had, I mean, look at his cabinet. It was like full of, American plutocrats. But I think the unpredictability is something that they don't like. The stuff that the Atlantic is talking about and that other people are talking about right now, and the stuff that he's feeding, I'm going to be a dictator just for one day, the first day. I'm still parsing that one a little bit. But like if you're a thorough enough dictator on the first day, you just don't have to be one after that because everybody who was ever going to give you any trouble is like either in jail or dead. I don't even know what that means. But, and all this stuff about poisoning the bloodstream and all this stuff, he is now dangling. It's kind of that, when they tell you who they are, believe them. He's certainly dangling that idea. What business would be able to do about that? I don't really know. I mean,
I'm thinking back to all those. I don't know if you remember, but late in his first term, there I think when some people had decided that he had gone too far, there were like people pulled advertising, and they didn't. People pulled people. I say people, I mean corporate entities pulled political donations from Republicans, but of course, I think that was pretty short-lived. I think that was maybe to appeal to their customers, and I guess it's on the basis of that I'm wondering if they feel their customer base is in jeopardy. Michael Jordan, right? Republicans buy sneakers too. So if they feel like their customer base is going to be undermined, do you think they would take any action to help us?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, this is something that I promised to think about at greater length. But what I would say off the top of my head is the whole point of being a dictator is that you don't have to worry about stuff like this or being an autocrat. You don't have to worry about stuff like this. You don't have to worry about political advertising. You're never going to have any again. Yes, maybe Mitch McConnell and the Republican National Congressional Committee and stuff like that. They might have to worry about advertising, but there's no real evidence that Trump cares about that kind of stuff either. He's not a team guy, really. He's a one-man show. And so it's a really interesting question. Like I think it would take so long for business to have some kind of consensus about what the problem was and what to do about it and whether to speak with one voice about it or how to speak with one voice about it. He would have to be doing some really egregious stuff, which we know he will do if he's president. But I mean, it's a safe bet. But I just, it'll be. I'm very interested in your question. I don't know the answer. My gut and what little can be gleaned from 2017 to 2021 is that he's very hard to rein in once he gets going, and it's unclear to me. I mean, also the point of being a populist leader like this is that you don't. I mean, you're not really much of a populist leader if Exxon and Amazon and Apple can rein you in. So I don't know. I do want to point out that I've read two articles this morning, two different articles about why populist leaders have crazy hair. It's not just Trump and Boris Johnson. Now there's Geert Wilders in the Netherlands and Javier Milei, the guy in Argentina. Geert Wilders kind of has American televangelist hair. And then the guy in Argentina, he's sort of got this is Spinal Tap, backup drummer hair or something. But it's just weird. I don't know. It bears great thinking about.
It means I have no future as a dictator due to my follically challenged head.
Well, that time comes too. There's a time and a season for everything. So says Ecclesiastes. All right, we're going to thank you, Michael, for your call. Very thoughtful, very interesting call, and certainly one worth pondering. I don't really see it, I don't think that's where the check is going to come from, if there's any check that balances him. Now on to Helga from beautiful Glastonbury. Hi, Helga.
Hey, Colin, long time listener. I remember when you were on TIC.
I remember that too, but only vaguely.
I've also read all your books.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm terribly sorry.
I'm a huge fan from clear before you were on the radio when you were just writing in the newspaper.
Yeah.
I loved your column.
Well,
You're
thank
one
you.
Of the most insightful and beautiful writers that I have known in my life. My other hero from the current is John Lacey.
Oh, John was a great man. I was very fond of him too.
I hang out with his son.
Well, say hi. And I'm sorry, my books were not better.
But they were awesome. you have a unique way of writing that I enjoy.
Well, we knew there was someone who thought that. Apparently, it's you. So you
bring back the Connecticut spirit of Mark Twain.
Yeah,
and to a large degree.
All right. So
I also have 5 books in print. That's why I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, you have a YouTube channel, and YouTube is what you want to talk about.
Having a whole. I'm having a bit of. I'm questioning their counting of views.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also post the show, the YouTube link, on Facebook, and send it out to about 100 people on Facebook, on Facebook Messenger, basically. And I tell people to like and subscribe at the end of the show. I get probably the people that say that they're watching, I should be getting 200-300 views a day. Anyway, it's a daily show. It's a show, basically it's a talk show with 2 transgender women talking about life as a transgender in America and life on Social Security and a pension.
Yes.
Yeah, we're basically doing it out of our own pocket. So we can't edit, we can't rehearse, and we're trying to bring back the spirit of 50s TV.
Yes.
Where it was unrehearsed. And we have a lot of fun doing it. My co-host is a lady named Lisa Boswell. She used to be a radio and TV personality down in South Carolina.
Okay. So, but at the risk of hurrying you along a little bit, anyway. So what you feel as though the algorithm is not treating you fairly? The YouTube algorithm.
It seems to be that they only want virgin views or views from subscriptions. To count because
and how many ultimately how many versions are going to be willing to watch your YouTube channel anyway? You know,
it's pretty much adult. And now I've been working off and on for 60 years on stage and mostly doing stand up. I kill them in the open mics. I do really good in the open mics. And somewhat of a legend at the local open mics because hecklers leave the room crying.
Right.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yes, that is a whole other, and just because there are other callers and stuff, I don't want to try to keep you.
I feel that YouTube is cheating me because I'm not getting the views, and in fact I tried clicking from off of a Facebook link. And sure enough, it didn't count up in the views.
Okay, so that's the thing that you're concerned about. There's so many things to be concerned about with. First of all, I don't know why you would be distrustful of American social media. It's obviously a very well-regulated sector of our society, and one that has strong standards and compunctions about its own behavior. That was a joke. I'll just sort of tell you where I start on all this. Whenever I'm dealing with the tech sector, the first thing that I think of, if there's anything problematic happening, is it's not a very well regulated. It's not regulated in a way that's commensurate with its power and influence, and so that's always dangerous, and bad things will happen. That's step one. Step two is that it does whatever it wants to do until it gets caught. And what we know from Frances Haugen, the whistleblower on Meta, was that they say one thing and they do another. That's a different company from YouTube. I don't know. My guess is that if you think your hits are not being counted, you might be right. Just in the same sense that really since Musk took over Twitter and changed it to X, nobody can figure out why do you lose followers all of a sudden? Why does this happen? What is that? It really is like the mirrors, at the end of Lady from Shanghai or something. You just can't. You don't know what you're doing. To me, it's not, those aren't the concerns about the YouTube algorithm. The problem with the YouTube algorithm, and they claim that they've adjusted this and fixed this, although I don't really know how you can and preserve the nature of the algorithm. So one of the things that the algorithm does pretty well is track you, the user, and figure out what you would probably like to see in that right-hand menu, given all the stuff that you typically watch, which is fine. And most people like that, right? You're looking at one thing on YouTube and you look over on the right-hand side, and there are a lot of things that you do think you would probably like. And so that's just YouTube making you happy, right? The difficulty in the past has been that if you look at certain, let's say that you entertain the possibility that 9/11 was not, in fact, conducted in a way commensurate, I'm saying it the wrong way. This is like the official account of 9/11 is not on the up and up. Let's say that you at least toy with that idea and you watch a couple of videos about it. The problem in the past is then you were going to start getting flat Earth videos and anti-vaxxer videos and Sandy Hook false flag videos. That's the way the algorithm works. And they say that they've adjusted that and fixed that. Although when you think about it, it's sort of hard to believe that, because that's exactly what the algorithm does do. It looks at things you like and then says to itself, what are some other things like this? Which is also... it's another problem, which is that you are encouraged to constantly kind of follow your own predilections as opposed to look at anything that might contradict what you believe or lead you in a new direction. I mean, it's just, it is essentially a tool that only builds rabbit holes. But anyway, good luck. Good luck with the YouTube show. And good luck with open mic night, and Godspeed, and I'm sorry my books are not better. No matter what he says. All right. Here's Mendel from West Hartford. Mendel, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Colin?
I'm just fine.
Great. I can't believe that you've never seen the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Is it really? It is.
It is.
I feel...
The scene where they're doing the lickable wallpaper.
Yeah, I don't know that scene.
Well, anyway, he goes, lick a snozberry. Tastes like a snozberry. And Veruca Salt, who is this awful little young woman, goes, who's ever heard of a snozberry? And he goes, we are the dreamers of dreams, and we are the music makers. That's a great line, man.
I'm getting chills. I know the name Veruca Salt, and I know the term Oompa Loompa and stuff, because there's certain movies that if you don't see them, you're nonetheless confronted with just stuff from them, tropes from them, names from them, and I think Willy Wonka would be in that category. And I will say that I love that. I believe it's by Anthony Newley and Leslie Bricusse. But, come with me and you'll be. That's a great song. What a lovely melody that is. And
my God, it's so good.
Yeah. I don't need to see the movie. I know most of it already without seeing it. It's like the Kardashians. You don't ever have to watch the Kardashians.
You don't have to watch it.
No.
I saw this,
osmosis.
I had this idea the other day of the two people or characters in the world with the strangest voices, and I thought of Christopher Walken doing the Rainbow Connection, and it would go something like this. Why on this song about rainbows, and what's on the other side?
That's very good, actually. And it is, it's certainly as funny as Elmer Fudd saying Rosebud, and probably more funny.
Exactly. Anyway, are you aware of the band The Misfits?
I'm about as aware of The Misfits as I am of Veruca Salt.
Okay. Well, there was also a band called Veruca Salt. But
I told you this was a rabbit hole. I told you we live in a rabbit hole. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Anyway, the song was the screenplay for the movie Alien was written in 1976. And the song Hybrid Moments by The Misfits was recorded in 1978, and the movie Alien came out in 1979. And the lyrics to the song, I think, are the complete and total description of the movie.
All right. We're going to hear a little bit of the song right now. We'll see if Mendel is correct. There may be language in this song that will disturb you. I'm just warning you in advance of that. Kat, you should have A1 or 1A or something like that in there. If so, please play it. You're right, except it doesn't mention the cat. The cat's not in the song at all.
No, the cat Chalmers. He's not in there.
No, he's not in the song. So clearly, Ridley Scott. This is a work of pure imagination by Ridley Scott. It's not based on a song by the Misfits. I'm just saying.
Well, no. It's the other way around.
Oh,
the song is based on the movie.
Oh, I thought you were okay.
They did all kinds of like B horror themes, like a song called Vampira and like other kind of things like that. But the opening line is, "If you're going to scream, scream with me." And the byline or the subtitle to the movie was
"In outer space, no one can hear you scream."
Exactly. Right. And then that thing gets on John Hurt's face, and RAPE's his face.
Yeah.
And then hybrids open up the door, and the synthetic guy on the ship is the one that decided to open up the door and let him in.
All right. I think you've got a point. I'm not sure what that point is worth exactly. I like the Christopher Walken Rainbow Connection part of your call better. But as we say, it is called Ask or Tell Me Anything. You are allowed to call up and ask or tell me anything. We have lots of open lines right now. I've got Mr. Karp envelopes with me in case things get slow on the phones. The number to call, and I'm going to take a break right here so you have time to call, 888-720-WNPR. 888-720-9677. Those are both the same number. We'll take a break, and we'll come back after this.
Every time it rains pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella
If the rain comes, they run and hide their heads. They might as well be dead. If the rain comes, when the sun shines, they slip into.
All right, we're back. It's Ask or Tell Me Anything. At the moment, I don't have any calls. That doesn't bother me or worry me. I'm just sort of telling you that. But if you were thinking, I'm not going to call up because I'll never get on the air, you are probably incorrect. The number is 888-720-WNPR, 888-720-9677. See, when I picked all the music for this song, it was still raining. And I think the music's going to seem somewhat inappropriate now. But we can get past that together. So over the weekend, one of our sister shows, Audacious with Guyon Wolf, they did a really excellent episode about Costco and Trader Joe's. And I could have been on that episode because I have strong feelings and I have an immersive experience at Costco. And then at Trader Joe's, I've discovered, because I occasionally have to go to Glastonbury these days, the Glastonbury Trader Joe's is just a celebration of life. That's what it is. I'm always so happy when I'm there. But I want to talk about an experience. I want to talk about an experience that I had on Sunday. I have so many different layers. By the way, I'm just doing this until you call in about something else. But and the number, once again, 888-720-WNPR, 888-720-9677. I also have envelopes packed and sealed for me by Mr. Karp, my college friend, possibly the smartest person who went to Yale while I was there. And he sends clippings. He doesn't offer any explanation of why these clippings are in my envelope. But I have them. I can open them up, and that could be another way that we can find things to talk about. But I would like to talk about a couple of things about Costco right now. So my life is just unbelievably exciting. That's one thing I want to say. I am out there, and I am living my best life. So on Sunday, living my oh, this is so sad. Living my best life involved going to Costco. I had made an appointment at Costco to have new tires put on my car. I had bought the tires from Costco online, and then you schedule an appointment. And then you go and you deal with the tire guy there. Now, the tire guy at Costco, I've become obsessed with him and fascinated by him, although I think he doesn't like me. But if you follow me on Facebook, you might know this, that a few weeks ago when I was first beginning my inquiry into getting tires, that's going to be a good one. It's a good call from Matt here, but so I'll make this fast. So when I first began to make my inquiry into doing tires, I was there at the desk, and there was a woman ahead of me, and she said she didn't know whether she needed new tires. Did she have a bad alignment? She just didn't know, and she didn't know anything about tires. And so the tire guy, the head of the tire department, I think that's what he is. I think he's like the head tire guy. He took her keys and he went out and he checked her car. I don't know if he drove it or not, but and he came back and he said, your alignment isn't too bad. You take a lot of U-turns. And she said, I do. And I said spontaneously, he can also tie you to 3 unsolved homicides. He can tell so much. He's the Columbo of tires. And he did sort of shrug and say, yeah, you can tell a lot by looking at tires. So that's the tire guy. And I don't think he likes me. And I don't think he thought the Columbo stuff was funny. But anyway, I was back there on Sunday. And this is a really interesting thing that I think has applications elsewhere in society. It's a question that I haven't thought about before. But what the tire guy does. Cool. Well, first of all, I did sort of an intake with a younger guy there. And so he got, he saw that I had a reservation to have my tires put on and stuff like that. So this is a very exciting story. I realized this is not a life many of you get to live. I'm kind of the Robin Leach of auto care. And so he said, fine. And I said, just a guesstimate how long it's going to take. And he said an hour and a half. And then the head tire guy, the Columbo guy, came up and said, 2 hours. We got 2 walk-ins. We got 3 people with appointments. And I said, well, I'm one of the people with appointments. And he said, probably 2 hours. Well, first of all, my tires were on in 50 minutes. That's how long it took to put the tires on. And I think I've watched him a little bit. I've studied him. I'm obsessed with him. I followed him home a couple of nights. I know I didn't do that. I think he's all about managing expectations, but I think he takes it too far, right? Like if you say 2 hours and it's really going to take 50 minutes, I understand why you might say an hour and a half in case it takes longer than you thought it was going to, and you don't want the person to be standing there. I mean, that's what managing expectations is. We know what that term means. But you can go too far. Why doesn't you just say it'll take all day? Come back at 5. I mean, because you have to give people some reasonable framework. I mean, I was thinking about doing all kinds of things to pass the 2 hours after I'd bought everything that I did really need at Costco. I was gonna look at every sheet, every one of those 8,000 sheets of paper towel that I'd bought in that one big package to see if there were any secret messages on them. Anyway. That's all. I just feel like managing expectations, it needs to be taught better in the schools. And you shouldn't say 2 hours if it's going to be 50 minutes. Because, I mean, I was very happy to get my car back in 50 minutes, but it was just, you see what I'm saying here. All right. Lots of calls here. I'm going to go right down the queue here. Start with Matt from Hamden. We got Eric. We got Jim. We got Caitlin. All right, Matt, you have the floor.
Okay, yeah. How you doing?
I'm just fine.
Okay, that wasn't my question. What I want to know is, who do you think was the best politician in Connecticut's history?
Well,
and don't say Joe Lieberman.
No, you're safe from that. First of all, do you mean best politician? So to me, best politician means who's really good at operating politically, as opposed to like who is the best leader or senator or governor or something like that. I mean, the best governor of my lifetime was Ella Grasso, followed more closely than one might suppose by Dan Malloy. But that's not about. But they were both kind of bad politicians. So you see the distinction I'm making here, and then I'll ask you which thing does your question mean?
I was thinking you could define it as you wished.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would say that one of the most interesting politicians, and he's a little bit before my time, is a guy named Raymond Baldwin, who I believe held just about every possible thing you could be. I mean, he was like governor and U.S. senator. I think he might have been on the state Supreme Court and stuff like that. That he certainly is sort of the guy who could play all the positions. He's the Shohei Ohtani of Connecticut politics. But, I think I am going to say Grasso. I mean, think about Ella Grasso. 1970s, women governors were kind of almost like not a thing, and you have this woman who is not particularly charismatic and has all kinds of little quirks and oddities, personal quirks and oddities, including, and this is going to sound all wrong, but it really is true. She just was a woman who she was not the least bit interested in fashion at all. And so she just, often showed up at things dressed kind of maybe sort of inappropriately or like, why did you pick that thing to wear? And I know that that's an unfair way to judge a women leader because we don't do that with men unless it's John Fetterman. But, Grasso really wasn't a very effective governor. She cared a lot about doing a good job. I mean, she certainly didn't hesitate to chew out her people if they weren't doing a good job. But there was a real commitment, I think, to, having a good and effective government. And I give her a lot of credit for that. So I'd go with Ella Grasso. I mean, I don't really know how good a governor, Thomas Wells was in the 1600s or something. And I mean, the most interesting governors were probably Wilbur Cross. And then there was this guy, Wilbert Snow, who was, I think, very briefly our governor. And I mean, he was like a legit poet, I think, like a for real legit poet and academic and stuff like that. We've had some very interesting people as governors who don't really fit the mold. But I'm going to say Ella Grasso. I don't know. Is that a satisfactory answer?
I was wondering if you would say Ella Grasso. There are a lot of politicians that I've never heard of. I was just kind of curious is all.
She didn't like me, so it isn't like, I'm not saying this out of deep affection. She really didn't like me. I have a picture of her and me wearing Army helmets. Well, she's inspecting Fort Drum, and I was tagging along with her, and she didn't speak to me the whole day. She was furious at me, and we were like riding around in little helicopters and stuff. You can't really talk to anybody on a helicopter, but I mean, she just wouldn't even acknowledge my existence for an entire day of close proximity. But I think she was a pretty good governor, and I'm proud to stick up for her, even if she didn't like me. All right, here comes Eric from Cheshire. Hi, Eric. You're on the air.
Hi, Colin. I'm calling about a Nose podcast that you had about a week ago.
Yeah.
And part of which concerned the assassination of John Lennon. Mm-hmm. I think that I'm really glad that you had a program about that because I think that his history is very relevant in this day and age. Of course, I don't know whether you mentioned the fact that he stated that the Beatles were more powerful than Jesus, and
I think it was more popular.
Yeah, he was more popular. I'm sorry. Yeah, correct. Than Jesus, and the reaction from the Bible Belt about that. I
think he was just having a laugh. I don't think he really meant it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway, I appreciate John Lennon for his song "Imagine," which I've memorized the lyrics to, and I practice every day. I think the lyrics really reveals a deep truth, a philosophical truth about the root causes of so much violence and human suffering. Particularly the first. Well, I should say the whole thing, but the first paragraph of the lyrics basically states, imagine there's no heaven and no hell that exists as entities outside of the human imagination, and imagine all the people living for today.
Yeah, no, I'll let me say this. First of all, I salute you. I salute you for keeping the spirit of that song alive. I have to be honest and say, to me, it's the somewhere over the rainbow of rock. It just got played so much that it stopped meaning anything to me anyway. It just became kind of a wallpaper thing because, I mean, it was a very brilliant song when it first came out. I think it's been overused and probably also kind of wallpapered onto things that it didn't really apply to or where it didn't belong. But I totally agree that if you heard it for the first time today, it would blow your mind. You know, I get that entirely. I kind of have reached a point where I don't like it that much, but I salute you for liking it and caring about it every single day. That's a beautiful thing to do for a song, is to kind of be its gardener. I do feel as though, like, I want John Lennon here now. What they've done in the TV series For All Mankind, which is an alternative history of the space program where things go differently. And one of the other things that goes differently is that John Lennon doesn't get killed. Two interesting little variables that they made. One of them is that Chappaquiddick doesn't happen. Teddy Kennedy then gets elected president. And John Lennon doesn't get killed. So he's there. I mean, they don't make a big deal out of this. He's not, in every episode or anything. And nobody plays him as a character. But you just really feel as though his commentary, that's what they do in For All Mankind. You just have Lennon commenting on stuff. And I in a way that I maybe never even would have acknowledged before, I do feel it would be really, really interesting to hear, his mordant and insightful commentary on everything, and that we do suffer from his absence. And I think for people who are really young, it's almost impossible to convey that. I think the Beatles are kind of annoying if you're if you're, say, younger than, 50. Just hearing about the Beatles from people who are my age is tiresome. But it really is true, I think, that, it would be wonderful to have him here, not for Imagine, but for the new things that he would say and the new songs that he would write. All right, we're going to go over to Caitlin in Hamden. Speaking of young people, hi, Caitlin.
Oh, hi. I was going to say I'm not tired by the Beatles.
Okay.
And I'm under 50. So.
All right. That's good. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I called just because you were kind of like floundering, and I'm always I want to help person.
I love to flounder. I love floundering. You should never feel like you have to come to my rescue. One thing the producers know is that nothing would make me happier than to talk for 50 minutes. So it's okay. But anyway, thank you for calling. Thank you for the impulse.
No problem. When they asked me what I was going to call about, the first thing that came to my mind was, I guess I could talk about how I'm a millennial in a perpetual state of existential dread, but that's sad. Well,
no, I think that is worth talking about. I mean, I think, first of all, it's a very real thing. And I get it. I notice it. And I don't know. I don't like to talk out of school. Actually, I do like to talk out of school. But first of all, Jonathan Pants, is Lily a millennial? She's a millennial, right? Isn't she? I think she's the right age to be a millennial. Or is she? No, I don't know. He'll type me something.
Like 83 to 92.
Yeah. Well, maybe she's Generation Z. I don't know. But anyway, so Lily Tyson, who's the senior producer of this show, the wonderful senior producer who is shepherding this show on its journey through the galaxy, is, probably, a little bit younger than you. And I just noticed that. I noticed that that's sort of there's a resting existential dread face for people who are younger right now. And I totally get it. I think it's easy for the rest of us to forget about it. I think it's legitimate. As long as it's not paralyzing, I think it's an important form of guidance for your own actions and decisions, too. I mean, I think it would be scary to be a young person right now, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's definitely scary, and it also doesn't help that a lot of times the older generations kind of downplay our feelings as if they're not real. And it's like, it would be nice to be validated sometimes, so that it is nice to be validated.
Yes, well, I totally validate you. I say this, if Lily were here, what she would tell everybody, is that I do everything in my power every single day to trigger existential crises in Lily, just for out of fiendish being to Shimples. But I really do get it. And if I were your age, I would curl into a ball several times a day, and someone would have to come along with the jaws of life and kind of unsnare me from myself. So, you're totally entitled to feel existential dread. I mean, what do you have left? Don't let them take your existential dread away. They took everything else.
That is true.
Yeah.
Pulled the ladder out.
They cut down all the trees and the planet's a fireball, and now they won't let you have existential dread? What kind of world is that? What kind of...
We just gotta pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, as they say.
No, the bootstraps are gone too. They took those.
Maybe if I could afford some bootstraps.
Exactly. No, too much student debt for bootstraps. All right, we have to take a little break. We'll come back. Jim wants to talk about bird watching, and Dave might want to talk about the weather, and Luke might want to talk about the Family Guy spoof of the Willy Wonka song. That's, right in our ballpark.
The thunder and lightning seem to be having their way, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a lovely day. A turn in the weather will keep us together, so I can honestly say that as far as
We are back. The technical producer, who was just counting me in my headphones, that was Kat Pastor. You didn't hear that. And the producer of this particular episode and the person screening calls is Jonathan McPants. I should say, without going into any details, we have a little bit of a staff shortage problem. We'll have a little bit of problem with illness and deaths in the family and things like that. And so, first of all, Jonathan was nice enough to drive up and do this today. He wasn't scheduled to do it. We'll do our best to either record or do live new shows for you this week. It may be a little bit harder than usual. So if you maybe hear an extra rerun or something, bear with us. Bear with us. We're a little shorthanded right now, but it's going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. I don't want to make Kirsten even upset all over again. I mean, I just got her calmed down. The thing about being a millennial is it's like you almost have to be your own mentor because the people who are older than you are not trustworthy. I mean, they're just de facto not trustworthy. So you kind of have to be your own. I think that's what Lily Tyson does. I think Lily Tyson is her own mentor, and good on her, I say. All right, here's Jim from New Milford on a different topic.
Hey, Colin.
Hey.
First off, quick thanks for how much you play the band The Neils. I think they're fantastic and deserve more national credit than they've ever gotten. But I want to call to suggest to people that have any affinity for nature and haven't already to take up the hobby of bird watching, or as we call it these days, birding. I think a lot of people perceive it as a solo activity, and I have found over almost 50 years of birding in Connecticut that it's almost anything but solo. It obviously can be. 8 days ago, I was standing in New Jersey with literally over 100 people trying to find a red-flanked blue tail from Asia and Siberia. That was the first East Coast record. And the excitement of these people trying to get a spot on this bird that they have never seen before. It was just palpable, and the community it was in was loving us that we were there. But
did you see it?
Day or night?
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did?
That's like 4 or 5 brief looks, some photos. Yeah, it was really a big deal. People flew in. There were people from all over the country who flew in to see this bird. And, even just birding in Connecticut, it's, we have over 300 nesters here, and with rarities showing up all the time. You have weather events. I know a ton of people that were watching Long Island Sound from different points along our shore, looking for pelagic species that could have been blown in from the south. The wind's blowing into the Sound all overnight, and some cool pelagic birds were seen. So it's really the Christmas counts are happening right now. That is something you can go out with a group or by yourself, and that's citizen science research that's been going on for like 120 some odd years.
I think this is great. I mean, I actually, first of all, salute you for your hobby, because I think it's just sort of a hobby that has low impact on the environment. It's probably really good for the environment because obviously you get interested in habitat and preserving habitat and stuff like that. And I'm thinking maybe we should do a show episode on birding. I've personally seen Harry Justin Nut Scratcher and After Dinner Pee Wee. I've seen a few things myself, but maybe just the way we did Astronauty Week, maybe we need to do an Avionauty Week, Avionauty Week. I don't know. I don't have time to brand it right now, but he makes it sound like it could be exotic and fun. Except for like if you go all the way to New Jersey and you don't see the bird. That would suck. All right. So I probably can only put one of these two calls on. We'll see how things go. We'll start with Dave in Farmington. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Colin. Greetings from up on the side of Talcott Mountain. Just a brief, wanted to provide a PSA, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
It's the power just came back on after about, 6-7 hours. So for all of your listeners that are out and about hanging out in coffee cafes and things like that, it's safe to go home. The heat's back on.
Well, I mean, it's sort of a case-by-case basis, right? I mean, just because your power came back on doesn't mean everybody's power is on.
Well, that's true. And the last I heard, there was like 83,000 people that were without power. But what kind of got me was I have this little, crank-up emergency phone radio that I was spinning the dials up and down on and everything like that. And no one on the radio, AM, FM, no matter where I went, was providing any kind of like real-time updates as to what was going on.
Yeah.
So,
I used to have a job where I did that. I used to work for TIC. We don't do that on public radio, though. Although we do support the idea of crank radios. Because I think, get a workout and listen to your favorite radio station. And I should get one of those. I actually am one of these people. I have like a bag of stuff, like sort of headlamps and stuff like that. And I get it out, because if you have to go through something like that, it's fun to feel as though you're prepared. But you're making me want to get a crank radio.
I was actually able to charge my phone by cranking on the thing a little bit this morning. That was kind of cool.
I don't understand how that works, and I'm not sure I want to ask. I mean, it could be argued that all talk radio is crank radio, but maybe from a different point of view. And so we're almost done with the show today, but as we get ready for Avian Week, I don't know, should we just go, or we'll go to Luke. Luke's been waiting. Chip, I don't mind. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of bird imagination. That'll be the theme song for Avian Week. But you're saying that there was a spoof of this very fine piece of music?
Yeah, it's a spectacular parody. They had an entire episode where Peter goes and tours Pawtucket Pat Beer Factory.
Right.
And if you aren't aware of the song, once you hear the parody, that's all I hear now. It's a world of pure inebriation. So,
all right. This is, by the way, he's talking about Family Guy, the animated series Family Guy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want people. Family Guy. It's a Family Guy thing.
Yeah, I don't want people to think that Peter Jennings or something was doing this, but somebody named Peter. All right, so we've come to the end of another Ask or Tell Me Anything. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for calling, and I hope some of this made some kind of sense to you, but I somehow doubt it.